They told you that if you chased hard enough, loved loud enough, stayed kind long enough, she'd finally see your worth. They told you to be available, communicative, emotionally transparent. They told you that effort equals love. That clarity builds trust. That vulnerability wins hearts. But you know better now, don't you? You did all that. And she still walked away. She still lost interest. She still left you on red. Because no one ever told you the truth. Desire is not created by effort. It is created by absence. In the cold reality of power and attraction, the man who tries hardest loses first. The one who proves, who explains, who seeks to be understood, dies in her imagination. Because in her eyes, a man who chases is confirming his place below her. A man who reveals himself too easily offers no mystery. And a man who competes for her attention is admitting he is not the prize. So I'll say it plainly, with no softness, no sugar. You were lied to. Not by one person, but by a system. A system that wants you obedient, predictable, emasculated. A system that teaches men to trade their power for approval and then punishes them for being too available. You were taught to be her answer, but Machiavelli would teach you to be her obsession. And obsession is not built on comfort, it is forged in the fire of uncertainty. This video is not for boys chasing validation. This is for men ready to reverse the frame. If you've ever watched her pull away as you gave more, if you've ever felt the sick emptiness of being ignored after giving everything, then this will be the most important law of power you've ever heard. Because starting now, you will no longer beg to be seen. You will no longer try to prove. You will no longer chase. You will become the one she tries to solve and never can. Comment below. No more competing. And stay with me, because what comes next is Chapter 1, Why Chasing is Strategic Suicide. Ready? Let's begin by killing the first myth, that your effort will ever be enough to make her stay. It won't. Because effort does not equal value, it equals exposure. And in Machiavellian terms, the more visible your hunger, the more leverage you surrender. The man who chases announces that he needs her, and need is death. Desire by its very nature is fueled by imbalance. The one who has less power wants more. The one who has more power plays with it. If you chase, you have already declared yourself as the lesser. You may think your consistency proves loyalty. It doesn't. It proves predictability, and predictability is the slow rot of desire. A woman does not lie awake thinking about the man who was always available, always kind, always waiting. She thinks about the man she couldn't quite read, the one who said little, moved less, and yet somehow occupied every corner of her mind. She thinks about the man who didn't chase, but stood still and let her wonder. Machiavelli understood this dynamic. In The Prince, he warns rulers never to be too merciful, too generous, too quick to forgive. Why? Because such traits, when expected, breed contempt. The same principle applies in love. Give too much and what you give becomes worthless. Make yourself fully known and you will no longer be fascinating. Obsession is born not from abundance, but from confusion, from contradiction, from the space between what is shown and what is withheld. Let me say it even colder. If you chase her, you're not chasing love. You're chasing her approval. And approval is feminine currency. Masculine power lies in being the standard, not seeking it. When you chase, you compete. When you compete, you become replaceable, and the Machiavellian man is never replaceable. He is singular, enigmatic, unavailable. Not out of bitterness, but because he understands that power comes from being chosen, but never needing to be. This is the suicide of chasing. You become a performer in her world. You orbit her attention, you dance for her recognition, and in doing so, you confirm her superiority. That is not desire. That is deference. That is weakness dressed in effort. So the next time you feel the urge to double text, to clarify your intentions, to make her feel safe and seen, ask yourself, am I asserting my value, or am I auditioning for hers? Because in this game, the one who chases dies first. The one who stands still becomes unforgettable. Understand this now, or stay weak forever. Your attention is not free. It is the most valuable currency you possess. Not your money, not your muscles, not your humor, your focus. Where you place it, who you offer it to, how frequently you deliver it. This is how the world measures your power, and Machiavelli would tell you, to give that currency without calculation is to bankrupt your own influence. Most men have been tricked into thinking attention is harmless. That compliments make you charming, that responsiveness makes you loyal, that validation makes you desirable. But let me tell you what it actually does. It makes you obvious. It makes you safe. It makes you forgettable. The woman who knows you'll answer every time, react every time, be there every time, no longer needs to wonder about you. And the man who no longer makes her wonder is already dead in her imagination. Look around. We live in a world drowning in male attention. DMs, likes, comments, thirst, desperation. Men bleeding their focus in every direction, hoping for a drop of validation. Do you think that makes any of them stand out? Number it makes them noise. And the only man who commands gravity is the one who refuses to be noise. He is quiet, selective, rare, and for that reason, magnetic. Machiavelli advised princes to distribute favor carefully, to reward strategically, to withhold often, because the more you offer your presence, the less it's worth. This is why kings do not chase peasants. This is why generals do not beg their soldiers to obey. This is why the powerful wait. They create space. They allow anticipation. They force others to fill in the silence with longing, confusion, curiosity. Attention, when rare, becomes a weapon. When constant, it becomes background static. You must learn this now. The most desirable man is not the most expressive. He is the least available. She should wonder why you haven't texted back. She should wonder if she misread the signals. She should feel the gap between her effort and your calm detachment, and that gap should eat at her. That is how you bend desire in your direction, not through explanation, not through performance, through distance. So when you next feel that ache to prove your interest, to clarify that you care, to show her you're different, pause, and remember, the more she sees of your attention, the less she values it. You are not here to be her emotional sponsor. You are here to be a mystery she can't silence in her head. You are not here to flood her with proof. You are here to starve her of certainty. That is how Machiavelli would play it. And that brings us to the next law. Mystery, not effort, creates obsession. Are you ready to disappear? Let's go. You think she'll want you if she understands you. That if you're clear enough, open enough, emotionally present enough, she'll choose you. You believe if you just say it the right way, or explain yourself thoroughly, she'll see the good in you and never leave. But that belief is not love. It is delusion. Because in the theater of attraction, clarity is the enemy of obsession. And Machiavelli would tell you, a ruler who is fully understood is already defeated. What keeps people loyal is not transparency, it's mystique, the unknown. The question left unanswered, the motive left unspoken, the emotion concealed just beneath the surface. Obsession isn't forged in comfort. It is forged in tension, in not knowing what comes next, in not being sure what you feel, in wondering if she matters as much to you as you do to her. That is where her mind loops endlessly, and that loop is power. The men she forgets are the ones who over-explain, the ones who give her certainty, the ones who make it too easy for her to predict what's next. Predictability is safety, safety is stagnation, and stagnation is death to desire. She stops thinking about you the moment she fully understands you, but if she doesn't know what your silence means, if she replays your last words in her head trying to decode them, if she's unsure whether you're fading away or just watching her from a distance, then you've already won. Because you've created obsession without lifting a finger. Machiavelli advised that princes should always appear virtuous, but never be fully known. Why? Because power lies not in how you are, but in how you are perceived. The prince must never let himself be read like a book. He must be an enigma, a question that even his closest allies can't quite answer. That confusion breeds respect. That ambiguity breeds fear. And fear, properly controlled, is one of the most reliable engines of loyalty. So if you want to be unforgettable, stop trying to be understood. Speak less, react slower, share your thoughts like secrets, not confessions. Don't fill the silence. Don't clarify the tension. Let her feel the uncertainty of not knowing where she stands. Let her ask herself if she's losing you. Let her imagine someone else taking your attention. The mind, once unsettled, cannot rest, and that restlessness becomes obsession. You are not a product to be explained. You are not a quote on a dating profile. You are a storm with calm eyes and no forecast. Let her chase clarity and let her never catch it. Next, Chapter 4, How Machiavelli Weaponized Absence. Now we go deeper. Ready? Presence creates comfort, but absence creates power. Understand this. The most destabilizing force in a woman's mind is not your attention, it's your disappearance. Not because you're punishing her, not because you're angry, but because you've simply withdrawn without explanation. Because she cannot place you, because her ego is bleeding in silence. And Machiavelli would have smiled at this principle, for in every arena of influence, he knew the strongest move is always made without words. To withhold your presence is to make her question everything. It forces her to confront your value. When you're always available, she can take you for granted. But when you're gone, when you vanish without anger, without drama, without a message, she begins to fill in the blanks. Was I too cold? Did I say too much? Is he talking to someone else? That spiral is no accident. It's architecture. You built it by knowing when to vanish. Machiavelli taught that rulers should never be too familiar, too known, too seen. He wrote that a prince should allow himself to be touched only rarely, to preserve awe, because awe is not built on proximity. It's built on distance. The prince who mingles too often is no longer feared, and the man who gives too much access becomes too easy to forget. Let me speak directly. When you are ignored, disrespected, taken lightly, do not explain, do not react, do not correct. Disappear, not in rage, in indifference. The colder your exit, the hotter her confusion. Because women are not used to men who walk away without seeking closure. They are used to men who beg, who chase, who try to talk it out. But Machiavellian men do not chase closure. They become it. And what does she feel in your absence? Pressure. Silence as pressure. Memory as punishment. The sudden scarcity of your presence reframes everything. She rereads your old messages. She checks your stories. She starts watching your moves, hoping for a signal. And that hope, that anticipation, that subtle psychological burn is yours to create or destroy. Absence, when done right, is never passive. It is a move, a blade she doesn't see until she's already bleeding. So withdraw, without announcement, without bitterness, without warning, and let that void speak louder than your voice ever could. Next. Chapter 5. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Stay sharp. This is where men are made. They told you silence was passive, that it meant you had nothing to say, that if you didn't speak up she'd lose interest, move on, forget you. They told you to fill the void with words, with emojis, with explanations, with just wanted to check in. But Machiavelli would laugh at that advice, and so should you. Because in the realm of power, in the theater of attraction, the man who speaks less controls more. The man who holds silence creates tension. And the man who resists the urge to explain is the one who dominates the emotional frame. You must learn this. Reactivity is submission. The moment you answer too quickly, the moment you over-explain, the moment you feel the need to clarify your intentions, you are placing her perception above your position. And the moment you do that, you lose your leverage. Women test with silence. They test with delay. They test with inconsistency. And the weak man responds every time. He flinches. He breaks the tension. He sends the double text. He floods her with his insecurity, disguised as honesty. But you are not that man. Not anymore. Machiavelli believed that a ruler must never let himself be predictable, never show his full hand, and never move faster than necessary. In silence, there is fear. In silence, there is mystery. And in mystery, there is power. Let her wonder if she went too far. Let her question why your energy shifted. Let her sit with her own delay and feel its weight when it's returned to her. Because silence is not the absence of power. It is the most calculated display of it. You think words show confidence? Words leak intention. Words reveal need. But silence forces her to feel. It forces her to project. And projections are always more obsessive than facts. She fills in the blanks with fantasy. And that fantasy is almost always more addictive than your actual presence. You're not ignoring her to punish. You're not ghosting to manipulate. You're executing silence with precision, because a man who is truly confident does not explain. He does not justify. He observes. And when he chooses to speak, every word is felt. So the next time you feel the itch to explain, the next time you want to reply just to keep the connection alive, the next time you want to soften the edge with a compliment, don't. Lean back, hold still, stay unreadable. Let her come forward. Let her notice the quiet, because your silence will scream in her mind far louder than your words ever could. And now, the final law. Chapter 6. Be the prize she can't reach, not the man she can predict. Finish this with me. There is no honor in being easy to reach, no reward for being constantly available. no power in being predictable. The man who is always there, always ready, always offering his heart on a silver plate, he is not seen as noble. He is seen as cheap, familiar, finished. And Machiavelli would spit on that frame, because he understood the ancient truth of desire. What is certain is ignored. What is elusive is pursued. To become the prize is not about arrogance. It is about control. It is about limiting access, engineering distance, revealing less, and never allowing her to believe she fully has you. She may hold your hand, but she cannot hold your mind. She may hear your voice, but she cannot predict your silence. And that unpredictability, that unreachable center, that is what separates you from the weak. She must never know what you'll do next. Not because you are chaotic, but because you are deliberate. You pull back at the moment she expects warmth. You say nothing when she hopes for reassurance. You offer glimpses of depth, then vanish. You are not cold. You are calculated. You are not unfeeling. You are unreadable. And that is exactly why you haunt her. Do not be the man she figures out by the third message. Be the question that keeps her awake at night. Be the standard she cannot meet, the silence she cannot decode, the presence she cannot replace. Let her wonder if she ever truly had you. Let her regret assuming she did. You are not her therapist. You are not her fan. You are the mirror she cannot look away from, the one that reflects not her comfort, but her hunger. Be the mystery that stays long after you've gone, because when she cannot solve you, she will never stop chasing you. You were never meant to be understood. You were meant to be felt. You were never meant to be accessible. You were meant to be remembered. A man who wants to be understood becomes common. A man who knows how to withhold becomes myth. And Machiavelli would tell you without flinching, what cannot be fully known cannot be fully controlled. Let every interaction serve one goal, mystery. Let every pause be a message. Let every absence be a lesson. The world taught you to explain. I am telling you now, explanation is the language of the weak. Silence is the law of kings. Never forget this. You are not chasing. You are not proving. You are not explaining. You are pulling her into your orbit by standing still while the rest run toward her. If she still thinks she figured you out, you haven't even started. Now tell me, what will she regret more? That she never had you, or that she thought